Nick Fuentes is a Democrat. His words, not mine. And Democrats, we will gladly hand him over. And let's stop pretending that this is complicated. The fingerprints had been there the whole time. As a matter of fact, I was saying this last year when the MAGA hat was still sitting on his desk. Check the receipts. Nick Fuentes didn't evolve. He flipped. And he flipped fast. Last year, this is a guy sitting behind a desk with the red hat, talking like he's carrying the torch for the right, positioning himself as a gatekeeper, and acting like he's the standard bearer for what it means to be a real conservative. Today, he's telling his audience to hand power to the left. You don't go from that to this in that short of a time unless something was never real to begin with. That's not an intellectual journey. That's not growth. That's not a rebrand. Because people with principles don't move at the speed of the algorithm. They don't wake up one morning and decide everything they said yesterday is negotiable today. They don't trade a belief system for a business model. They don't torch their own side because outrage performs better than consistency. They anchor. They build around something deeper: faith, values, conviction. And when their party drifts, they don't abandon it for clicks. They fight to reform it. They put in the work. They try to win. That's what leadership looks like. What we're watching instead is something else entirely. This is algorithmic politics, where your ideology isn't shaped by truth, it's shaped by engagement. Where the goal isn't to be right, it's to be viral. Where the incentive isn't to lead, it's to react louder than everyone else in the room. And in that world, the fastest way to grow isn't to build something, it's to tear something down, especially your own side. Because that's where the attention is. That's where the controversy is. That's where the clicks are. But here's the problem with building your platform that way. Eventually, there's nothing left to stand on. Because if you're willing to flip fast, your audience starts to realize you can flip again. If you're willing to abandon your own side this easily, they start to wonder if you ever believed it in the first place. And that's the part no one wants to say out loud. If your beliefs can change this quickly, they weren't beliefs. They were props. Now, look, people can change over time. That's not controversial. Over the course of years, decades even, people grow, they learn, they reassess. But overnight, ideological whiplash? 7-month reinventions? That's not growth. That's branding. And conservatives, real conservatives, understand something fundamental. You don't hand power to people who oppose your core values just because you're frustrated in the moment. You don't burn the house down because you don't like the paint color. You fix it. You rebuild it. You make it stronger because the alternative isn't neutral. The alternative has consequences. Nick Fuentes is urging his audience to vote for the party that promotes open borders, unlimited abortions, and transing our kids. And when you start encouraging your audience to disengage, to protest vote, or to empower the very people you used to warn them about, you're not just making content anymore. You're shaping outcomes. And here's how this ends. He'll take a victory lap if Republicans stumble in the midterms, which will be none of his doing. He'll claim influence. He'll say, "See, I told you so. We did it." But burning down your own house doesn't make you the architect of what replaces it. It makes you the guy holding the match. And the American people, they're smarter than that. They can tell the difference between someone who believes something and someone who's just selling something. Because eventually, the algorithm turns. It always does. And when it does, the only thing you're left with is your record. So the question becomes, what did you actually stand for? Not what got views, not what got attention, not what got you through the news cycle. What did you stand for when it cost you something? Because if the answer is whatever worked in the moment, then the moment is all you ever had. And when it passes, so will you, Nick Fuentes.
Hey, we the people like Gates Garcia, so that's no excuse.